You're watching News 24 Live. The Blitzboks were runners-up in the Vancouver Sevens and are now just one log point behind Fiji on the series standings. The Proteas won their T20 World Cup warm-up match against India, and Charles Schwartzel won his first PGA title this weekend in 5 years. To discuss these and more sporting results from the weekend, I'm joined in studio by Sport 24 editor Garen Lamney and chief writer Rob Howing. Gentlemen, good morning and thanks for coming in. A fantastic sporting weekend for South African teams and South African sportsmen and athletes. We're going to chat about that a bit later, Garen. I'll wait for Nikak. Rob, starting with you, rugby this weekend. Let's look abroad quickly. I just want to mention, of course, that England were confirmed Six Nations champions on Sunday. Obviously now just chasing the Grand Slam, so a fantastic first season for Eddie Jones. But Super Rugby on the local front. The Lions lost. Cheetahs snuck a win over the Sunwolves. The Kings, of course, got hammered. And then, a very tight game between the Sharks and the Stormers.
Yeah, it's a real ding-dong weekend, really, Nick. I mean, fairly predictable in certain respects up until the slight comeuppance for the Stormers at Newlands. I think a lot of smart money rested on the Stormers winning at home. We know they have certain deficiencies in their ranks, but a lot of people felt that they would still have the forward muscle and sort of general nous to be able to down a sort of a regrouping Sharks team. What we suddenly discovered was that maybe that Sharks team has regrouped at a quicker rate than some people anticipated. And full marks to them. I thought it was a magnificent triumph. Whatever you might say about the type of rugby employed, it was a typical South African derby. I don't think we were ever going to, a lot of us anyway, weren't going to expect anything too different from that. But they planned superbly for it. The spirit that runs in that team is very deep. I'd say they're almost up there with the Lions in terms of that sort of that important aspect of the team ethic. And the Stormers were left with a little bit of mud on their faces, really, in terms of just psychologically. I thought they were dominated at scrum time, which is normally a key sort of attacking weapon for them. And on that note, there wasn't too much else left for them to offer. They need to work a lot more on finding a more balanced sort of approach. They dominated quite big tracts of the game territorially in terms of possession. In many ways, their forwards did put up another very honest, solid shift. But they do struggle to put points on the board. It is something that they've got to address, and the Sharks cashed in and, of course, sort of raided the palace late on with that magnificent break by JP Peterson, setting up Joe Peterson for what turned out to be a match-winning try. So that was a big talking point of the South African weekend, which, as I say, was a bit of a ding-dong one, really. Lots of positives, lots of negatives from a South African point of view in Super Rugby.
And Garen, anything to read into some of the other results? I mean, the Lions had an amazing start, for a touring side at least, and then obviously they were sort of humbled by the Highlanders. But then again, the Cheetahs, who didn't have a great start, then sneaking their first overseas win. I mean, the Kings.
Look, I mean,
do you still think they're going to lose every game this season?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that they're going to lose pretty much every game they play. Unfortunately, they seem to be a bit of a one-half team. They're competitive in the first half, and they were pretty close to the Chiefs in those first 40 minutes. But then just the experience and the fitness told at the end, and the Chiefs were running in fairly easy tries towards the end. I think they scored 7 in total, so they picked up the bonus points. Easy win for them. The Lions, I think, just maybe one match too many for them away from home. Their draw saw them start with 3 away matches. So fantastic win last weekend against the Chiefs. But the Highlanders team, when they're on their day, they really are a good side. I still expect them to go far in the tournament, contend in the playoffs. So not the worst defeat. I think a lot of people predicted the Lions would go down there. And the Cheetahs, again, frustrating. They seem to be struggling on defense. The Sunwolves, again, another team that aren't going to win many games. They're going to be competitive again, maybe for a bit longer than just 40 minutes. But they are going to lose more games than they win for sure. And they're sort of playing between Tokyo and Singapore. They've only played at home so far. And the Cheetahs were fairly lucky in the end to actually run out winners. So, not great. I think the Lions and the Cheetahs now both head back home to South Africa. They play this weekend, so that should be interesting to see how that happens. You've got the Sharks up against the Bulls. You've got some nice South African derbies to look forward to this weekend. But as Rob said, the big talking point this weekend, Stormers up against Sharks. Sharks now looking pretty good in their division, with the Jaguars not playing this weekend and the Lions losing. The Stormers, I don't think, have too much to worry about in their division. I think they'll still go on to win it and make the quarterfinals, which is exactly what they did last year. So it won't be any worse under Robbie Fleck. But we're only in week 3. We've got 107 rounds to go or something, it feels like. and a long way. A lot will still happen. But from a South African point of view, certainly probably the worst of the first 3 weekends results.
Mm.